Hello and welcome back to Panic in the Warp Core. My name is Chris.
And I'm Chip.
And today we're going to be talking episode 2 of Star Trek Enterprise entitled Fight or Flight. In this episode, the Enterprise comes across a derelict ship, and upon investigating, they find horrible things have been done to the crew. This launches a moral dilemma, with Archer eventually having to decide if he should abandon them to their fate or if he should go back and help. So why don't we dive into it and see what we think? Hello and welcome back. We are Panic in the Warp Core, as we said, and we are covering Fight or Flight tonight.
That rhymed.
It did.
Fight or Flight tonight.
Yeah.
Do you remember Night Flight on USA Network back in the day?
I don't.
I do. But they'd always played a lot of weird movies and shows, and
Gotcha.
got me into some sci-fi stuff there too.
Sweet.
So this originally aired October 3rd, 2001. It was set in 2151, written by Rick Berman and Brandon Braga, directed by Alan Croker, who also directed the finales of Voyager and Deep Space Nine, and many other episodes, but those were two. I know the Deep Space Nine was fun. So, anyway,
Why don't
we get to it?
Why don't we jump on in?
All right.
Oh,
Start with a nice little slug.
yep. So, I didn't get this initially until later on in the episode,
Yeah.
but the slug is like kind of like an analogy of Hoshi at the end, which, we kind of talked a little bit last time about how she's like grappling with whether or not she belongs on the ship or not. So
Yeah, and this was a pretty good Hoshi episode. It was a pretty good episode for character development.
Yeah.
Across a few different characters, but Hoshi had an important part to play.
She did. And I love how Phlox is like, if your slug is sick, we can just feed him to my bat.
Yeah. I like how Dr. Phlox is just so, like, impartial, or just, he doesn't mind cutting things open. He's just very...
He seems
he's
to
practical and...
take things as they come, and
Yeah,
he just
I
takes
guess
it all in
that's a good
stride, right?
Yeah. So he's kind of a good barometer for Archer to play off of. But
Definitely, yeah. And honestly, I think we can all learn a lot from Phlox.
yeah. Here we go with some faith of the heart. Gotta do that.
We do.
Did you just do this?
I did.
Okay. Thought you were trying to use your communicator.
No.
Okay.
It's touching my heart, because I've got
Yeah.
faith.
So this episode plays a lot into kind of that trope of space horror. So, and I was just kind of did a search on just other things that are out there, other shows, movies. So, a few I really liked, some I don't. Like Event Horizon, I thought was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But one other one that was mentioned was Doctor Who with the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, and
Oh, yeah.
those were great.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking about how Star Trek and Doctor Who kind of have that same, the way they've built the world, that you can really go any direction with the storytelling, where you can even do a musical like they did in the last season
Sure.
of Strange New Worlds. You can go straight up kind of horror and fear, paranoia,
Right.
discover. I mean, there's just all sorts of ways that they can go with it. Alien was probably the biggest one that kind of reminded me of Alien, but I think the Satan Pit and some of those came after this was out, so this was 2001.
Yeah, because the reboot started in 2005. So.
Yeah, and then Sunshine was another one that came out, the movie with Cillian Murphy, and I can't remember, was that Danny Boyle might have directed it, but anyway, this is where Archer's hearing a squeak in his room.
It's like, I feel like they just kind of like invented this little thing for him to be preoccupied about. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we have to make this more interesting than just T'Pol coming in and them doing dry exposition.
Yeah.
Right? Like, gotta make things a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and it's still, it's a new ship. They're still figuring some things out, so there's kinks to work out. So maybe there was something that he heard, or maybe there was...
Absolutely.
Something.
And, it's just funny how she just humors him. She's like, okay, you're doing the human thing again.
Yeah, so I think that when I read about this one, it'd been like a couple of weeks that they've been out there, not really finding much. So, when they first pick up this derelict ship on their sensors, the crew gets pretty excited. So, I know that's coming up here in a minute. But.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed as we're going through and watching these again is like they play a little bit too heavily, in my opinion, sometimes into like this. We're excited, we got to get out there and do stuff. Throw caution to the wind.
Yeah.
It's like you're on this brand spanking new piece of technology, and I think if you were on this ship in real life, you'd be like, do we really want to? I don't know. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And that's kind of, the whole fear versus courage and jumping into the unknown. And it's kind of like Hoshi's personal anxiety kind of mirrors that too, where she's a little bit, trepidatious about jumping into this. But, she also, grows as a character in the show as a part of it.
Is this the part where she's like saying that she wants to switch quarters because the stars are going the wrong direction or something?
I believe so.
It reminds me of a story I heard about a person on a train who could only ride with their back facing the front because that way they didn't get motion sick.
My wife says that too. She can't ride in the back seat of the car unless she's in the middle and looking out the front.
Oh, interesting.
So, I don't know. Did I just shake the camera? I'm sorry if I did. I gotta stop talking with my hands.
Don't gesticulate.
We'll try not
to. Torpedoes. I think we discuss torpedoes last time, and we were
talked
trying
about the
to
armaments that
remember
were on the ship and what armaments they had. So yes.
Yeah. Question answered. We have torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they're necessarily photon torpedoes at this point, but we do have torpedoes.
Yeah. I don't know if it ever said what kind they are, but
I
know they were having issues with the targeting system here.
Yeah. The display graphic there, like I said last time, like it just reminds you of like naval submarine type graphics that you might see. Which again, I love that style. I love that aesthetic. I love the fact that they kind of called back to that when they built this thing. Yeah,
I mean, even like the uniforms and everything just reminds me of the Navy.
100%, yeah. And I'm still trying to figure out. It's like, okay, Mayweather's the helmsman, but is he like understudy to torpedo maintenance too? I mean, they have like 83 people on this ship.
I think it was 82.
82, okay. I was counting Porthos.
Okay, yeah, then 83. Of course.
I like how he just slid down the ladder like that too. That was.
Well, that's because Bacula's just cool.
Bacula.
Yeah.
It's Bacula time.
That's right. Do you think he ever has flashbacks to Quantum Leap when he's filming these?
I don't know. Maybe. He did that for how long? Was it like
that was like 7 or 8 seasons, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was a pretty good run.
Yep.
They tried to reboot it, and I always thought that would be a good one to try to reboot, but they didn't do a good job with it. So.
Oh, that's right. They did do that, didn't they?
Like a few years ago.
Yeah.
But
one thing so look at all three of these guys. Like, I feel like the uniform fits each one of them different. Like, Malcolm's is tighter, Mayweather's is a little loose, and like Archer's is just like tailored to the max because he's the lead, right?
Yeah.
But I think like with the costume departments, like they could only really tighten up like 3 or 4 of them for like the leads, and then everyone else was like a little dodgier, so...
I hadn't thought about that. Whoops.
This is just like... They're just sitting there watching it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
no, it's coming back to us now.
Yeah, but this is like space boredom, too. They're just trying to,
That's true.
you know, tweak things, fix things up. And...
Hoshi didn't like that.
No. Hoshi's just a little sensitive and a little scared.
That's true.
So
I really like how the bridge has like that little back room where they can just like go and look at the table console and like make plans and shit.
There's another flocks and food scene. He likes his food.
Yeah.
Were these the potatoes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's weird how he's like, here, have this potato that I've already taken a bite out of.
Yeah.
Yay.
But again, it's just like nothing really bothers him.
Right. Well, and going back to what you said about how, like, his outlook, like, the things he's calling out here that he's noticing because, you know, Tucker's like, this is boring.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, have you noticed, like, what this crewman does and how this crewman acts and things, and who sits with who? It's
He's
like...
very much an observer.
Right.
Of all things, you know, in some ways.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe we need a Be Like Phlox shirt.
That would be a good one.
It does look like he's wearing pajamas, though. Or like a hospital gown or something.
But he kind of rocks it, you know.
That's true.
It works for him.
Did he have like the bright blue eyes in the pilot?
That's a good question. I don't recall if he did or didn't. And in this age, it probably would have been contacts, wouldn't it? They wouldn't have had digital
Yeah, I would
effects
say
that
so.
would have done that. So,
Yeah.
which I used to wear contacts, and it was hard. I couldn't do it as an actor. So that's another reason I
Never
couldn't be an
do.
actor.
I've never had
All right.
contacts. I can't put stuff in my eyes. I have a hard enough time with eye drops.
I can do eye drops, and I don't mind, you know, rubbing my eyes and stuff. But
Yeah.
contacts, my eyes would get so dry out, and it was partly because of my work and sitting in front of a computer for
Yeah.
how many hours in a day.
Do you think they solved that in the 2150s?
I would think so. But they do still have screens.
It's true. Yeah.
They aren't using like the smart glasses or, you know, the Oculus
right.
or,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, do you think the Oculus is the precursor to the holodeck?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think so? There's a episode coming up too where they kind of introduce the concept of the holodeck, don't they? I think so.
Probably.
I think that's coming up here.
See, and this is
This season, I'm pretty sure it's in the first season.
the part where they're like, let's go over.
Yeah.
And T'Pol's like, no. Bad idea. And it's like, you don't have to just automatically not listen to the Vulcan because she's a Vulcan.
I know.
But
it would be a really boring show if they didn't go
I
over.
know. But they look like dumbasses.
Well, and I think that's kind of the point too, is that they're just,
Yeah.
they're naive, they're, you know, this is all new to them and exciting, and,
Sure.
you know, they just want some shit to do.
Yep.
They're looking for things to explore, and,
Look,
you know, and I think it's kind of fun. I don't remember, we haven't watched too many of these or too far ahead. I've seen it all before, but I don't remember how much they play with there being a lack of a prime directive yet. So they're just freewheeling and just jumping right into stuff and dealing with the alien species without any sort of rules or parameters that they're supposed to operate within.
There might be life here. Let's go check it out.
Let's go just see what's going on here. You know, and this is the one where it's kind of like, you know, the derelict ship and, you know, Event Horizon, and, you know, the Alien was the good one where they, you know, go and you meet the face huggers and get eggs planted in you, which that doesn't seem like fun.
No, I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah.
So like a little bit ago they kind of like showed the view screen like of them panning over the ship and seeing like the hatch and the ruptures, and it's like for being almost 25 years old, like I said, like we said last time, like the effects still stand up
The
for the most
models
part.
and the effects look good.
Yeah. It's like some of the effects with the Suliban were a little
They were
iffy, but
stretchy,
still not
but
terrible.
yeah, no, for being quarter of a century old almost. So it's crazy to think these are that old. But
I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
Nice work, guys and
Definitely.
girls. Theys and thems. See, there's that little rank pin on T'Pol's
yeah, we
uniform
should have
again.
looked that
We
up
should have
before
looked that up.
We'll have to do that before another recording episode or recording session. So
Yeah. He's... Just listen to her!
I know.
Jesus.
But I was thinking too, I just, when you were talking about the whole, hey, let's just jump in there and see what this is. It's like when I was younger, it's like you'd see like as a kid, you'd go and explore some like derelict warehouse or an old barn on a farm, and it's like creepy, but it's like, oh, I kind of want to see what's in there, but...
Yes. But you weren't entrusted with billions of dollars worth of spaceship
you don't
and
know that.
80-some people whom you're responsible
Well,
for.
I mean, in my mind, I might have been.
That's valid.
But yeah, just the leadership qualities, Archer's really still trying to figure out his responsibility and role as the captain.
Well, because they've never done this before.
No.
Which is what you said last time. It was like, this is brand new to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like Archer and Tucker and T'Pol probably have the most care put into their uniforms and costumes and overall appearances.
Well, they're the three main
yeah.
people in it, so I mean it's kind of similar. I mean, I know Tucker's not a medical officer, but it's kind of like McCoy and Spock and Kirk in the original series. So, there's Porthos. I always like Porthos.
I'm noticing a trend where, like, whenever you have one of these I'm recording my log scenes, he, like, pauses it, like, 17 times. So he can, like, either muse to himself or talk to the dog or, whatever.
Beagles are high-energy dogs. Where do you think he gets his exercise on the ship?
I have no idea.
They're not like a big St. Bernard that can just kind of lay around. And, he needs some action. I guess he got a little treat there, but maybe he's got like a treadmill that...
a doggy treadmill.
Yeah.
Well, this is like the early 2000s. Maybe it's a doggy Nordic track.
Oh, it could be. Do you think it's got 4 skis? Or
yeah, I think it would have to.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. Be interesting. But I still love that he's got the dog on the ship. So.
Yeah. Well, I feel like some of the later series, like, that's sort of the thing that happened, like...
They could have.
The Enterprise D had families.
Yeah.
Archer gets his dog.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like each captain kind of has that defining characteristic, or a few defining characteristics about him. Where Pike has his kitchen, and he's always cooking and making meals for everybody. And can't remember what Kirk really had, but
I don't know.
Picard always had his music and his tea and just his
reading old books.
Yeah.
And yeah.
He had many
horse riding
leather-bound books.
Horse riding, because he had his saddle. True. Is this where she's trying to talk him out of making her go on the landing party? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, like... She plays it well, though. She looks legitimately stressed out about it, so...
Yeah, and like I said, like you just said, too, that the focus is kind of on those 3 main characters, but Hoshi really kind of emerges here because, the language and translation of the Axanar... Is it the Axanar language?
Sounds right.
That becomes very important by the end. And I did also read that the Axanars were first mentioned in Court Martial in the original series in 1967 and in Whom Gods Destroy in 1969.
Yep.
But they only appear one more time in Enterprise, and that's the last time they really appear in the Star Trek universe. So
there is a fan-built production company called Axanar that's run by a scammer and grifter named Alec Peters.
Scammer and grifter.
Yes, he's
So
both.
he's an all-around asshole? Or
Yes.
Okay.
100%. 100%.
Oh, this is our first look at the EV suits.
See, I really like these. And you can kind of tell, like, if you think to, like, the suits, the EV suits in the original series,
Yeah.
how they tried to, like, be like, okay, what might have those
what led to
evolved
those?
from?
Yeah. Well, and it's like they kind of got to bridge that gap between what we know as a spacesuit
Yeah.
currently and we're in today's world
Right.
to what we saw in the original series to what's in here.
You would
That's
think
actually a pretty decent docking scene.
it is, but you would think they would put a docking collar on the bottom.
But is there a bottom in space?
Well, think about it, though. If you have, like, the shuttle upside down and artificial gravity's pulling you up this way,
Yeah.
and the ship is going to be pulling you this way, there's going to be a threshold.
Yeah.
Kind of like that gravity scene from the pilot episode.
True, but that wouldn't give us something to talk about here if they'd done it
That's true.
in a more traditional manner.
And how does he know to pull the little thingies down?
Yeah. He's the captain.
Oh, okay.
And why did they film this one right side up if they're all technically
See?
upside down?
Exactly.
So. But again, what is upside down in space?
Are you waxing poetic?
I don't know. In Zero G, is there an upside down? Or is it only in Stranger Things?
Yeah, this really does kind of give you, like, that alien vibe,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it does. The whole haunted, not haunted, but just the, there's, scorch marks from laser blasts. And where's that carbon scoring like they have in Star Wars?
Oh, that could be.
Yeah. This ship's seen some action.
Okay, so it's Archer, Hoshi, and is it Malcolm?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Malcolm because they brought the engineer, right? Or
The tactical officer,
Yeah.
yeah.
nice, yeah, tactical officer. Sorry.
See, and I think right here they did a really good job of making this ship aesthetically a lot different from other ships we've seen in this series. Even
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just because there's green goo on the walls either.
No, but it just looks very industrial.
It does.
And
Yeah.
more almost modular the way it's
Mhm.
got these kind of steel girders and it looks much more like this. Kind of reminds me of the type of ships in The Expanse,
Yeah.
where it was much more utilitarian. It's very purposeful.
I know there's like a section of fans who just watch these trying to like identify like the specific props that they use. It's like,
yeah.
that's an egg crate carton from 1962.
What was it in? Is it in The Mandalorian where it's like an old ice cream maker, or in
the
Star Wars?
The Camtono safe.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so here are the Axonarians.
Yeah, so this is where we actually see some kind of creepy stuff going on. Where they're harvesting, wasn't it like a lymphatic fluid
Something
or
like
something like that?
And let's be honest, like, Hoshi's disappointed with how she responded to this, but I think I would act the same
I
way.
would have been a little freaked out.
So, Hoshi, you gotta be nicer to yourself.
Yeah.
And we don't have a decon scene this time.
That's kind of funny.
So, at least there's that.
Yeah.
And she's clearly frustrated and
Distraught
disgusted.
and-
Like,
yeah.
and like, all that crew was dead. And whatever they were hooked up to is just harvesting things out of the dead bodies, right? So it's like...
So this is another emotion versus logic kind of
Right.
play where, T'Pol's like, we just need to leave this alone. And, Archer wants to figure out what happened to him, why it happened, and try to make things right.
Yes. It's like, okay, it looks like whoever did this is coming back, and we shouldn't be here when they return. And
Yeah.
personally, I agree with that.
Yeah, as technologically advanced as they are here, there's a lot of species that are far more advanced. So
Right.
I would think that I would be hightailing it out of there.
Yep.
Log it, record it, and move on.
See, and like this could have been the end of the episode if he
Yeah.
just would have used his brain instead of his heart.
But it's not a half-hour sitcom, so they got.
I mean, that's true.
That was a good warp scene.
It was.
Oh, now do we go back to the
gotta
slug?
check in on the slug. Yep.
Yep.
So as we go through this episode, right, the slug continues to decline.
Mm-hmm.
And Phlox is still like, we can still feed it to the bat.
Yeah.
But he's also doing everything he can to help the slug too, right?
Right.
So it's kind of that take what comes attitude again. It's like, well, we can try to make it better. He would also make a great lunch for my friend Charlie over here.
Well, he's giving her some options.
It's true, yeah. Yeah. Have some synthesized protein.
I'm surprised he didn't feed it a potato that he'd already taken a bite out of.
That's a good call.
I don't know if slugs eat potatoes. I know there's potato bugs.
There are potato bugs, yes.
You'd think there's a potato slug. Or could be.
Maybe on Denobula, whatever the planet's called.
Yeah, he's got some different PJs on here.
He does. Yeah, like look at like all the early 2000 flat screen monitors they just have placed around.
Yeah.
The effect
that looks like a
actually
washer
works.
and dryer behind
It does.
him with some lighting in it. But
yeah.
I'm sure it's something, but
I actually like the fact that like they have these things like affixed to the bulkheads and they're not embedded. I think it adds to the look and the fact that this is clearly a predecessor to what we've seen before. Plus, those flat screens were new technology.
That's true.
So they're probably like, let's put flat screens everywhere. Kind of like the costume designer did with the zippers.
Yep. So when you think about the original series, there was the view screen that the way they built it, it looked like a flat screen, the way it was kind of embedded in it. But that was really the only view screen they had that I remember.
So they had screens,
at least in the TV series.
They had screens above the beds in sick bay.
Oh, that's right.
There were above the bridge consoles all the way around. There were like these larger screens, kind of like this one actually.
Okay.
But you could tell it was just like plywood with trim.
Yeah.
And like they painted the inside to look like it was a black screen.
That's right.
But yeah.
So we have another meal scene.
And he's battling with his conscience.
Yeah, this is where he's trying to decide. He's struggling with his emotional need to go and fix things. And
Jonathan, look, they're dead. And you have 82
plus Porthos, 83
lives to take care of. So priorities, man. Clearly he's not listening to logic.
No. It's because he's an emotional being. He didn't go through Colinar.
No. Do you suppose Vulcans have to go in for a colonoscopy?
Potentially. At what age?
I don't know.
Do you think it's after they go through Ponfar?
I mean, if they live into like their late 100s to early 200s, I would say it's probably like 150 to 160 when they have.
Is that where they get into above middle age?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm extrapolating.
Do Vulcan women go through Ponfar?
Yes. Which I think this series invented. Because I think it happens to T'Pol in like season 2 or something.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched these, so.
All right, your moral high ground is going to win out.
Well, he is the captain.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like Captain Liam Shaw would not have made this mistake.
Probably not. Just because you gamed with him? Is that right?
Oh no, just think about his general demeanor and his risk aversion.
I kind of liked his character.
I did too. Like the first episode, I didn't, but after like
once you understand
afterwards,
where he's coming from, it's kind of like, okay, I do kind of get it.
Yeah. All right, is this him making the decision now?
Yeah, I
We're
think this
turning
is,
around.
Oh, he's standing up. He should make his decision.
Turn this car around.
So he kind of moves from, that kind of wishy-washy to, okay, I'm going to be decisive here. We're going to go do something.
Yeah.
We're going to figure this stuff out.
The little pump thing that they had on the alien ship that was like harvesting whatever it was.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a cool design.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like they put like ecto cooler or something in there.
Nice.
Or like the slime from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ooh, yeah. Or from Nickelodeon.
Okay, yeah, so like not only did they have the monitors, but they also had like the little bendy lights too.
Yeah.
Just shows that you can turn anything into a spaceship.
Yeah. Right. Captain's speech has been given.
All right.
Orders are taken.
I'm
so now
sure
they're back to the upside down.
It was very inspiring.
Yeah. So now we've got a little bit bigger away team.
We do. Phlox is there too now, right?
Yeah, and I did read that, I can't remember the actor's name, but he had trouble with the EV suit because he'd take the helmet off. Was that right? Maybe.
I think that's right.
But when he tried to take the helmet off, his prosthetic ears came off too.
Oh.
So, there's your green goo.
There's my green goo.
Maybe there was a Ninja Turtle slaughter there. Maybe Splinter got to him. Or was it Splinter? Master Splinter was there.
Yeah, Ethan Phillips.
Sensei.
That's his name.
Ethan Phillips. He's good. He's just such an anchor in the show.
He is. I just wish they would have given him something cooler to wear.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily a cat suit, but like something more iconic than loose-fitting pajamas.
Didn't Einstein reportedly wear his pajamas and robe to the grocery store and stuff? So
probably.
When you're just confident in who you are and you're smart as hell,
eclectic.
Then who cares?
There you go.
I wish I could be that way.
You can.
I can. I wish I had the fortitude to make that decision and just go with it.
Oh, we got
another alien.
Another alien autopsy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always like all the different alien blood colors.
Yeah. And like, I feel like this is a solid attempt at like an autopsy scene.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look completely fake.
No, and this is getting into, the whole, explore and discover and research and, it's a new... His EV suit helmet seemed like it was a little loose. Oh, I guess there's
like a little flexible collar or something there, I think.
That makes sense.
They're not like Batman, who couldn't move his
neck. With the Batman cowl.
Yeah.
That, he had to move his whole body to look around.
I always thought that was like a stylistic choice by Michael Keaton when I was a kid until like much later in life.
Yeah. Can't remember what there is. This where she's starting to where they've got.
I think she's
some
trying
of the
to work
audio
on
and she's trying to figure out the sounds and the language.
Yeah. And once again, it's like, I feel like they've got a universal translator, but at this point the technology is kind of in its infancy.
Yeah. Well, and they haven't met very many other species either, so.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe Hoshi was involved in, advancing the universal translator.
Oh, she probably was, yeah. Man, those EV suits are slick, though.
Yeah. They kind of remind me a little bit what they had in The Expanse. They look very practical. Like, oh yeah, if you're going to develop an EV suit, that's what it would look like.
I'm going off of memory here, but like the colors at least seem to remind me of Spock's EV suit in the motion picture.
It was kind of a dark red.
Yeah, like when he goes and
like
tries
a maroon
to melt
almost.
With
So yeah, it's very similar to. I think it had a little more red in it. This is almost more copper, but
that's probably true. Yeah.
But yeah, when he goes to meet V'ger, or mind meld with V'ger. which we'll get to at some point.
Oh yeah, we will.
In a while, but
Oh, the ship's coming.
Yep.
I like the little pop-up thing on the chair.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked a little flimsy, but points for
But,
trying.
it's still something new.
Yeah, it's like, I don't understand functionally what it's supposed to do, because you already have like an angle, but I don't know. I think those are egg crates.
Gotta blast the pump.
Yep, don't give them what they want.
Yep. That's kind of a cool looking ship.
So, they're pretty consistent with making, like, the overtly bad guys have sinister looking ships.
Yeah. This one looks like some sort of a claw.
It does, or like
the way,
some sort of
like an insect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like mandibles on a big
Oh,
beetle.
he's got a big screen TV there.
Well, he's tactical though, right?
True. Okay, so I had a problem with this part coming up, but I think I'm going to wait until the problem presents itself before I say it.
Ooh, like a little teaser?
Kind of a little teaser, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But I will say, if you're going to go into battle, I feel like T'Pol's probably the one you want running the show.
I would think she's probably got the most experience, and her logic would work well in these situations.
Yes. Also, this pod takes a heck of a long time to latch on and
Yeah.
like pull into the ship.
Yep.
Our camera shake there almost coincided with their camera
Yeah.
shake. Was that intentional?
I'm sure it
Okay.
was.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's just slower for dramatic effect.
It has to be.
And then we've got to have like the Hoshi freaking out scene because
Because
she wants to be in her
on the
at her
edge
university.
all season, all this whole episode. So
Yeah. Yep. One thing I do think is kind of fun is like this little gangway that drops down and lets them get out.
Yeah.
And also, it always cracks me up when they use their communicators in the ship instead of the comms.
Yeah.
Like the comm links. Man, like, Enterprise just looks so majestic.
Mm-hmm.
And that other ship looks fucking mean.
Yeah.
And he had time to change back into his uniform before coming to the bridge.
Well, he's
Back
like Spider-Man or Superman. Maybe there's a phone booth on the way.
That could be.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how they do the different ships. Where even in later series when they've got the Klingon ships, the birds of prey do look like a bird, and the Romulan warbirds look like birds, and look like neat birds, and have a kind of a sinister look to them. Then the Borg's just the cube, which I think is just perfect for them.
It is.
It's just the practicality of the Borg. This almost looks like the scan in the motion picture when V'ger's trying to figure out what the carbon units are up to.
And there's Phlox hanging out on the bridge.
Yeah,
I feel
PJs.
like
maybe he just woke up. Maybe he's always just ready for a nap when he needs one.
That could be. Like, I feel like there's just precedent for the chief medical officer to just hang out on the bridge whenever they want.
Yeah.
McCoy did it. Dr. Crusher did it.
Yeah. That's true.
The EMH on Voyager didn't really do it.
No, but on Strange New Worlds, what's
Mbenga.
Yeah, he's very involved in stuff.
Yes.
So.
I really like him too.
He's a great character, good actor.
Help from the Axanars. Axanarians?
Yep, so this is the first live Axanar that we've seen. Axanarian.
So, like, this is like, I think Hoshi was like, I'm gonna ask to go back. Like, I'm done. But I feel like this might have been like the pivotal scene because she was able to figure this out and she was able to talk.
Turning point where she earned the respect of the crew too in doing this. So So now it's like, oh, I have a purpose. I can do this.
Right.
Ooh, and they have a tractor
And,
beam.
like, under pressure, too, because you
Yeah.
know what they do to the ships that they find.
Yeah. Yeah, they're about to get, drained of their fluids and fed to...
Yeah.
Do we ever see the alien race, the evil one? Or the...
I don't think so. No, because they never answered the comm hails.
So that kind of goes back to the whole space horror genre, too, with the unknown
It's like you
enemy.
just, you never know what it is exactly
Yeah, for
that's
how long
hunting you.
in Alien do you not see the alien in its entirety until, like, maybe the very end? Or it's kind of like, Jaws. And that was more because the mechanical shark didn't work, that Spielberg had to work around it.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked perfectly for the movie.
When he was behind that little yellow thing, he almost looked like he was in Pike's little cocoon wheelchair from, was it the Menagerie?
Yeah, is that the one where they went back when Spock wanted to go back to...
Yeah. For Pike's trial, because he was trying to get back to Talos 4, I think. Yeah.
So the Telosians could make him
whole again,
believe
basically.
like he wasn't bound to this chair.
And, for somebody who's just figuring out the language, he is giving her an awful lot to say.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Tell him we didn't do it.
So that alien, the bad aliens here, they just like to connect tubes to things, it looks like.
Right. Maybe that's their thing.
Yeah.
It's either a kink or a fetish, maybe?
Yeah. Maybe they're like squid people.
Yeah. Like, she is so, like, just dispassionate. Like, she looks like she gives no shits.
Just the way she plays T'Pol is so perfect.
It is.
She just really captures the essence of a Vulcan.
Everyone else is just, like, super emotional, and she's just
she's
the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And it works well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What allows the humans to play off of her.
It does, yeah.
Which emotion versus logic is just kind of a fun paradigm to explore anyway.
Yeah. And I don't think it's something that gets old.
No.
Like, there's always fresh ways to apply it.
That, and just even in the real world, it's kind of like, God, especially at work and situations, like, I got to be a Vulcan here. I can't let my emotions get to me.
Yeah.
It's just work.
Seems like he should be saying, Shaka, when the walls fell.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is a very tense moment.
Yeah. I hope she pulls it off and
is
able to communicate.
Otherwise, I don't know what they're going to do for the other almost 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and it would have been a short trip if it
Here comes my pet peeve.
Okay.
So, Tucker finally figured out... not Tucker. Malcolm finally figured out the targeting, right?
Yep.
And so now that he's figured out the targeting, when they fire, all of a sudden, the torpedo does damage.
Mm-hmm.
But it hit the shielding and bounced off before. It's not like he missed.
Yeah.
Like... And they're like, hey, the targeting did the trick the whole time. No.
That's a good point.
Sorry, that bothered me.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that when I first watched it. So.
You're welcome. You made some friends. You didn't get murdered and have your goo harvested. Hoshi's thinking that maybe she can do this job. I mean, everybody's happy except the slug.
Poor slug.
We should probably do something about this slug.
I hope that he finds a home. Or it. I don't know how the slug identifies.
I don't know, yeah. What does the slug gender spectrum look like?
I don't know. Are they asexual?
Maybe.
Oh, look. This planet would be perfect for them. I'm glad they just found this planet that,
yeah.
they can go to without an EV suit. And
right. and it's perfect for the slug.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like,
Here you go,
what was the analogy that applied back to Hoshi that was made here? I don't even remember.
I don't recall.
But I remember watching. I was like, oh, the slug was Hoshi the whole time.
Yeah, well, it's like, the slug just didn't feel right the whole time. Found its place, and now it's going to be happy.
Yeah, that was probably it.
It's something along that line.
Yeah.
And Phlox is still in his PJs.
He is.
On the planet. All right.
All right. So, fight or flight?
I mean, it was an enjoyable episode, and like the space horror genre, I kind of enjoy sometimes. I don't enjoy it a lot, but
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're in a Star Trek series, you kind of got to go different directions, and I think it worked. If we were doing half pips, I'd give it 2.5. So I don't know if I round up or round down, but I think it's a good solid C. So would that be 2 pips?
Sure. I hit the wrong button. There we go. 2
2
pips
from me.
I'm technologically challenged.
I didn't want to say anything.
All right. So I know I griped a lot about this episode as we were going through and watching things, but it was enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I think because we're doing this show, as I'm watching these, I'm maybe looking at things a little more critically than I normally would, instead of just like shutting my brain off and enjoying things. So I'll do a 3. So we'll kind of like average out to your 2.5, I think. It was good. We had some good character building. We
definitely did that.
We had some, some cool alien ship designs and
a good first contact with another race.
Yeah.
So.
And more logic versus emotion. So, yeah, I don't know, pretty solid.
Yep.
That concludes Season 1, Episode 2, Fight or Flight. You will have to join us next time as we tackle the next episode entitled Strange New World.
Not Strange New Worlds.
No, totally different. So yeah, if you did enjoy this, please hit the thumbs up. Please like the heck out of this thing. Please subscribe. We're trying to put content out every week, so you can hit the little bell notification so that when we do upload content, you do get notified.
Contact or content?
Content.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
My Romulan ale's gone. And lastly, feel free to use the comment section. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like about the episode.
Wrong, what we don't know what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. Or if we did know what we were talking about.
I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you for dedicating some of your time to this. We hope you enjoyed yourself. I know we did. And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.